Hello dear students, my name is Gautam, your maths teacher. I hope you all are doing good and taking good care of yourselves. So today we are going to start chapter number 2 of class 6, that is whole numbers. Okay, so let's start with the introduction part. Okay, before we understand what are whole numbers, we should know what are natural numbers. So as you know, natural numbers are used for counting. Natural numbers are used for counting. So all the counting numbers are called natural numbers. Okay. All the counting numbers are called natural numbers. Example 1, 2. Counting starts from 1. So 1 is the smallest natural number. 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. Okay. So 1 is the smallest natural number. And when we include a number 0 along with all the natural numbers, when we include the digit 0 along with all the natural numbers, we get a new set of numbers called whole numbers. Okay, whole numbers are represented by capital symbol W. The smallest whole number is 0 and the greatest whole number cannot be found. Okay, so again, when we include the digit 0 along with the set of natural numbers, we get whole numbers. Okay. So let us see some properties of whole numbers. First property is 0 is the smallest whole number. Second thing, every whole number is smaller than the whole number on its right. That is, here 1 is on the right side of 0, so 0 will be smaller than 1. Similarly, 2 is on the right side of 1, so 1 is smaller than 2. So every whole number is smaller than the whole number on its right. Okay, using property set number 2, we can also say that every whole number on the right side is greater than the whole number on the left side. Every whole number on the right side is greater than the every whole number on the left side. Okay, our next topic is representation of whole numbers. Representation of whole numbers on number line. Here we will represent or show whole numbers on the number line. Okay, so for this, first we need to draw a number line. See, number line will always start from 0 because 0 is the smallest whole number. Then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5 and then so on. Okay, suppose we need to represent whole numbers 1, 3 and 4 on the number line. We have to represent these numbers on the number. So what we will do, we will mark a dot on these numbers 1, 3 and 4. Okay. So we can check these properties also using the number line. Here 3 is on the right side of 1, so 3 is greater than 1 or 1 is smaller than 3. Okay. So this is how we represent whole numbers on number line. Okay. After this topic, representation of whole numbers on number line, we will study successor and predecessor. Successor and predecessor. Successor, as the name indicates, succeeding, successor. Okay, so when we add 1 to the given number, we get the successor. Okay, for example, suppose we have to find successor of 99. So we will add 1 to 99, we get 100. So 100 is the successor of 99. Okay, similarly, predecessor is the number before the given number. Okay, number before. Successor is also known as number after. number after, and predecessor is known as number before. So to find predecessor of a given number, we subtract 1 from the given number. Suppose you need to find predecessor of 100. So you will subtract 1 from 100. So 99 is the predecessor of 100. Okay. Now can you tell me a whole number which does not have a predecessor? So 0 is the whole number. It does not have predecessor. It does not have predecessor. Okay. So this is how we find the successor and predecessor of a given number. Okay. Our next topic is properties of whole numbers, which is going to be a very important topic, properties of whole numbers. So let's understand the properties of whole numbers. There are basically 4 properties that we need to study, and all the 4 properties are very important. So let's understand each one of them one by one. So first property is closure property. First property is closure property. As the name of this property indicates, it's made from the word closed. Okay. What does that mean? Suppose understand it with a figure. If we are starting from this point and again we are reaching back to the same point, so it's a closed operation. So it means that whatever we are taking, we are getting the same at last in the result. To simplify this property, we can say that if we are having 2 whole numbers, let's say A and B, okay, then the result, if we are getting C, then this result C will also be a whole number. Okay. So what does that mean? We have taken 2 whole numbers A and B. A and B both are whole numbers, and on doing any operation, here we are doing addition, the result that we are getting is also a whole number. Okay. So here we have taken whole number, and in the result also we are getting whole numbers. So it means that addition of whole numbers is satisfies the closure property. Okay. Let's check the closure property for subtraction of whole numbers. Let's take 2 whole numbers, 2 and 3. So is 2 minus 3 same as 3 minus 2? 2 minus 3 is minus 1 and 3 minus 2 is 1. So it is not same. It means subtraction of whole number is does not satisfy the closure property. Okay. Let's check for multiplication. So 2 into 3 is same as 3 into 2. Okay. In either way we multiply, we will get whole number only. So 2 into 3 is a whole number. If we multiply 2 by 3 and 3 by 2, we will get 6, and it's a whole number. Okay. So multiplication of whole number satisfies the closure property. Let's check about division. If we divide 4 by 2, we get 2. 2 is a whole number. Okay. Similarly, if we divide 5 by 2, we will get 2.5. Is 2.5 a whole number? No, it's not. So division does not hold closure property. It does not satisfy the closure property. I hope closure property is clear. Next property that we will do is associative property. Before we study associative property, we will see commutative property. Property number 2, commutative property. This word commutative is made from order. Okay, how will you remember? It's made from the word order. Okay, so when we change the order of whole numbers, if the result is same, we say that commutative property is satisfied. Let's understand with the figure, with the example. Suppose we are having 2 whole numbers, 2 and 3. Okay, we can add them in 2 ways. First way is this 2 plus 3, second way is 3 plus 2. So in both the cases we will get the same result. Okay, either we add 2 plus 3 or we add 3 plus 2. In both the cases we will get same result. So it means that commutative property is satisfied for addition of whole numbers. Similarly, let's check for subtraction of whole numbers. 2 minus 3 is not same as 3 minus 2. So it does not satisfy the commutative property. Subtraction of whole number does not satisfy the commutative property. Let's check for multiplication. 2 into 3, either way we multiply, we will get 6. Okay, so this commutative property is satisfied for so multiplication of whole numbers. Similarly, let's check for division. 2 divided by 3 is same as 3 divided by 2. It is not. Okay, so it means commutative property does not hold good for division of whole numbers. Okay. Similarly, next property that we have to study is associative property. Associative property. Next property is associative property. The word associative is made from association or grouping. It is made from the word grouping. Now suppose we have three whole numbers. Let's say 2, 3 and 5. We are having three whole numbers, and if we form the grouping of these whole numbers, it can be formed in 2 or 3 ways. If the result comes same in all the possible cases, then we say that associative property is satisfied. Let's check for addition of whole numbers. Either we add, first we add 2 and 3 and then we add 5, or first we add 3 and 5 and then we add 2. In both the cases answer will be same. Answer will be 10. Okay. So what does that mean? It means that associative property holds good for addition of whole numbers. Next, let's check for subtraction. Is 2 minus 3 minus 5 same as 2 minus bracket 3 minus 5? Let's check. 2 minus 3 is minus 1 minus 5 will give us minus 6. Here first we will solve this bracket. So 3 minus 5 is minus 2, and 2 minus 2 will become 2 plus 2. Answer will be 4. So it is not same. Result is minus 6. Here result is 4. So associative property does not hold good for subtraction of whole numbers. Similarly, let's check for multiplication. Either we multiply 2 into 3 first and then we multiply 5, or we first multiply 3 and 5 and then we multiply 2. So in both the cases, result will come same. Multiplication of whole number satisfies the associative property. Let's check for division. 2 divided by 3 divided by 5. Will it be same as 2 divided by 3 divided by 5? It will not be same. Okay. So we can say that this associative property does not hold good for division of whole numbers. Okay. So all these properties hold good for only for addition and multiplication of whole numbers. Okay. It holds good for only for addition and multiplication of whole numbers. Okay. Next property, and the most important property that we are going to study is distributive property. Distributive property. Distributive property is basically of two types. First is multiplication over addition, and second is multiplication over subtraction. So let's see what is distributive property. Suppose we are having three whole numbers a, b and c. Okay. So if it is of this form, a multiplied by sum of b and c. So this can be written, this can be multiplied separately. First a can be multiplied with b and then it can be multiplied with c. So what we will get? A into b plus a into c. Okay. This is what distributive property is. Okay. Similarly, if we have multiplication over subtraction, it can be written as like this: a into B minus C, and result will be A into B minus A into C. Now you must be thinking, what is the use of this property? So this property helps us to do the long multiplications. For example, if it is asked multiply 19 into 102, okay, so we can multiply this using distributive property. How to multiply? We can write 102 as 100 plus 2. So this can be further written as 19 into 100 plus 19 into 2. This will give us 1900 plus 38. So final answer will be 1938. Okay. So distributive property helps us to you find the product, simply find the product in a simpler way. Okay. So this concludes the theoretical portion of this chapter. Now we shall see some questions from the exercises. Okay. So first we will take questions from exercise 2.1. Exercise 2.1. We are going to take question number 8, second part. Exercise 2.1, question number 8, second part. Question says, how many whole numbers are there between 99 and 300? How many whole numbers are there between 99 and 300? Okay. So whenever it is written in the question that between word is used, so we will not take the first and last digit. Okay. And how to find numbers of whole numbers? Numbers lying between 99 and 300. We subtract the first number from the last number, that is 300 minus 99, and we add 1 to it. Okay. We add 1 to it. Sorry, we subtract 1 to it. Why we subtract? Because we will not take the first and last digit. So 300 minus 99 is 201, and we subtract 1 to it. So there lies 200 whole numbers between 99 and 300. Okay. So answer will be 200. Next we will see question number 11. Question number 11 says, how many 3-digit numbers, 3-digit whole numbers are there between 72 and 407? Question number 11. Between 72 and 407. Here it is also given in the question that we have to find the 3-digit whole numbers. So next 3-digit number after 72 is not a 3-digit number, but the first 3-digit number after 72 will be 100. So we have to find number of whole numbers from 100 to 407. Okay. Or we can say that we have to we have to find between 99 and 407. Okay. 100 is the first 3-digit whole number. Okay. So what same thing we will do? We will subtract first number from the last number, and we will subtract 1 also. So 407 minus 99 minus 1 is 100. So there lies 307 whole numbers between 307 3-digit whole numbers between 72 and 407. Okay. So now we will proceed to the next exercise, that is exercise 2.2. Exercise 2.2. In exercise 2.2, we will take question number 6, second part. We have to find the value using distributive property. So question number 6, second part. 60678 multiplied by 262 minus 60678 multiplied by 102. This is the question. Okay. So how we will solve this question? As you can see, here also 60678 is there, and here also 60678 is there. So we can take it as common. What will be left? 262 minus 102. So 60678. 260 we will take is question number. We have to find the product using distributive property. Question is 1938 into 99. 1938 into 99. We have to find the product using distributive property. So we can write 99 as 100 minus 1. Okay. Now let's use distributive property. First 1938 will be multiplied with 100 and then it will be multiplied with 1. So this will be 193800 minus 1938. Let us subtract 10 minus 8 2, 9 minus 3 6, 7 minus 17 minus 9 will be 8. Then 2 minus 1 is 1. 191862 will be our final answer. Okay, like this we will solve. After this we will take question number 12. Let's see question number 12. Question number 12 says find the largest 3-digit number which is exactly divisible by 47. So here we have to find the largest 3-digit number. This is question number 12. So what is the largest 3-digit number? Largest 3-digit number is 1000. Okay. So it should be divisible by 47. So let us divide largest 3-digit number by 47. This will go one time. No, it will go two times. We will get 94. So remainder will be 60. Again it will go one time. Remainder will be 13. So remainder is 13. Okay, so we have to find the largest 3-digit number. If this remainder would not have been there, then this number would have been completely divisible. But we are getting 13 as the remainder. So we will subtract this remainder from the largest 3-digit number so that it is completely divisible. So therefore we need to subtract 13 from 1000 so that we get largest 3-digit number exactly divisible by 47. So that is how we will find. We will subtract the remainder from 1000. So our answer will be 987. Okay. So whenever we have to find the largest number, we just subtract the remainder. Okay. And when we have to find the least number or smallest number, in that case what we do, we first find the difference of the quotient and remainder and then we will subtract. Let's see in the next question. Now we are going to take question number 13. Question number 13, it is saying find the smallest 5-digit number which is exactly divisible by 254. So smallest 5-digit number, it will be 10,000. This is the smallest 5-digit number. And we have to find the smallest 5-digit number which is exactly divisible by 254. So let us divide this smallest 5-digit number by 254. This will go, I think, 3 times. 4 times it will be more. So 3 times 762. Let's subtract 8. 9 minus 6 will be 3. 9 minus 7 will be 2. Okay, now this 0 will be carried. We have taken here, this will be the smallest 5-digit number. Okay, so 2380 is the remainder. Now how many times it will go? I think it should go, let's check, 9 times. It will go 9 times, yes. So 2286. Let's subtract the remainder. 10 minus 6 is 4, 17 minus 8 is 9. So 94 is the remainder. So smallest 5-digit number exactly divisible by 254 is 10,000 plus quotient 254 minus remainder. Okay, when we have to find the least number or smallest number, we first find the difference of the quotient and remainder, and then we subtract. So we will subtract. So 10,000 minus, how much will be the this? So 54 and 94. Let us find 160. Okay, here we add the smallest we have to find. So this will be 10,160. This will be the smallest 5-digit number, exactly divisible by 254. So remember, whenever we have to find the smallest number, then what we do, we first find the difference of the quotient and remainder, and then we add it to the given number. Okay, but when we have to find the largest number, we simply subtract the remainder. Okay, so that was it from this chapter. Okay, remaining questions of this chapter you can practice by yourselves. Thank you all of you. Have a good day.